Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The show is about to begin.
Welcome to the podcast, concerts that made us, interviews and stories, tales from the bus. We love taking you back to when it all went down, the greatest live shows and the cheering crowd sound. It's concerts that made us, concertsthatmadeus.com.
Hi, this is Mike from The Outfit. You're listening to Concerts That Made Us.
Mike, you're very welcome to Concerts That Made Us.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
It's great to have you now. The Outfit released their third album, Go, on 19th of April. It's one hell of an album. I mean, it's just like good old-fashioned rock and roll. You know, you stick it on and it's like, yes, this is my thing. Take us a bit deeper into it.
Well, we just start working on material and start recording it, and we have an unusual way that we do it. We record the guitars, bass, and drums up here in the Chicago area, Chicago, Illinois, and then we send those tracks down to Phoenix, Arizona, where the singer is, and he puts on his vocals. Then we send it back here and compile it all, and we take it from there. And we just um, come up. We all just kind of start coming up with ideas. And Andy Mitchell, the singer, writes most of the lyrics, which can be pretty out there sometimes. But yeah, the music, as you said, the music is just straight ahead guitar rock.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, you guys spread out so far apart then. How do you get together to practice, or when you guys are going on tour, what does that kind of look like?
Well, the three of us practice here in the Chicago area. The singer practices at his house in Phoenix. And then before we go out to play, we all he comes up here to the Chicago area. We rehearse all together, but everybody's so well prepared, it actually works and it fits together. And then off we go.
Right, right. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Back to the album then. Is there any specific tracks on the album that maybe have a special meaning to you?
Well, the song Monster, which I like playing live, I still don't quite know exactly what it's about, but it's a little scary. But I enjoy it. And then Go, I like that song. It's just straight away charging away. And the one that I have the most fun with, especially live, is God Save the Queen. That
Right.
I forget whose idea it was to do that, but I was like, yeah, let's do that. Because it's a crazy song.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of fun to play as well, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And when aside from, the distance between you guys, was there any kind of challenges or memorable moments when it came to recording and production?
Yeah. Sometimes we'll have something that we think is very good, and then we'll send it down to Andy Mitchell, and he'll be like, "What are you guys doing?" Or the opposite will happen. We'll send something to Andy, he'll send it back, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" Because it's just not. We feel it's not working, and then the fact that we have Ehrlich Wild, who's a very well-known producer in Los Angeles. He mixes the stuff for us. And what always amazes me about him, he's got a great ear, is he does it fast. We sent it to him, and like the next day, he's like, "What do you think of this?" We're like, "Hey, it's great." But eventually it comes together.
Right, right. And what sort of feedback have you guys been getting since it was released? It's out what now, 2 weeks, maybe a little bit more?
Yeah. Some mostly good, I'm happy to say. Um, some people have picked out the song that's on there called Mountain, and that is getting some good reaction. A song called Big Eyes, which is getting some good reaction and lots of streaming and this type of thing. And then one that we've gotten a little bit kind of backhanded slammed on was God Save the Queen. One guy was like,
Right.
"We really need to hear that again." And they weren't mean about it, but they were like, "Come on, guys." But and a few other songs that people are a Mountain and Monster, and people seem to overall it's a pretty good reaction. Some of it actually very positive, and of course a few not so positive.
I get you. I get you. Now, for any listeners that maybe have not heard of the outfit before, can you give us a kind of a brief history of the band, how you guys got together, stuff like that? Because not to say you're not serious about the band, but you guys look like a group of friends who are just having fun, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, it kind of is. It is a little bit like that. I mean, we want to take it as far as we can, but the two brothers, Matt and Mark Nuara, were two fellow Chicago guys that I kind of knew. I wasn't great friends with them, but I kind of knew from around town, and they asked me to come record with them, not thinking it was going to be a band, just doing some recording, which I did, and it started sounding good, so we just kept going. And then they knew Andy Mitchell, who's in Phoenix, Arizona, and started sending it down to him to see what he could do with it, and that started sounding good. So then we just kept, kept at it and kept at it, and it's basically like just straight away guitar rock. Or if they're a music guy or girl and they ask me what kind of music it is, I say it's Les Pauls and Marshalls, and or just if you had to pigeonhole it, it'd be like hard rock, not metal, but it's like hard rock. It's like full blown out guitar rock.
Yeah, yeah. To me, it's kind of like the stuff you like to listen to when you're driving down a nice long road on a sunny day, you know?
Yeah, that's perfect. It's that kind of stuff, and it's the band, we don't use any gadgets like live. It's just two guitars, bass, and drums, and vocals. And we don't use any tracks. We don't use anything like that. And same on the record. It's just all guitars.
Yeah. I have to ask, it's kind of an obvious question. You mentioned Mark Nawara. He's the CEO of Pavement Entertainment as well as the drummer for the band. What is it like having a record CEO in your band? I'd imagine it opens a lot of doors as well.
Well, that's why we have a record deal, because he's the drummer. But he's a really cool, calm, smart guy, and he's a really hard worker, and he's a great drummer, and he's become a very good friend. And he doesn't lord over anybody like he's the smartest guy in the room, although he probably is. But he also outworks everybody. But that's why we have a record deal, is because of him. I don't know if anybody would sign this band. Quite honestly, I don't know, because it's been, we probably would get pushed off the side because because it's been done before. But we don't care. This is what we like.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good attitude to have. Now, the podcast is called Concerts That Made Us. So I have to ask you some concert related questions if you don't mind. First
Certainly.
off, as a concert goer, what concerts would you say have made you?
Oh, going all the way back. Um, I've seen some a little more recently, would be several times Jeff Beck, and just an amazing sounding. His bands are always really good, and he was, I should say, astounding. Another guy for me that I went to see a couple times was Victor Wooten, who is just phenomenal bass player, and he brings out these bands. Sometimes his band has his brother in it. Sometimes he has other bass players in the band, and he's always smiling, and he just plays. To some guys who go, "Oh, I'm going to quit because of that." I'm like, "No, I'm inspired to play more." And he's such a easy going, at least on stage. And it's just like, look how much fun this guy's having. So I would say that's pretty inspiring for me.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. What do you look for in a good show? What makes the show a success for you?
Well, I like the sound to be good, and even if you're in a smaller place with a mediocre sort of sound system, you can still make the overall sonic thing sound good. And even if you're getting a lot of stage wash, you can get it to sound good. And then people who are like relaxed and enjoying themselves, you can tell that they're very good at what they do, and they are relaxed and enjoying themselves. and no shorts on stage.
Right. Oh, I like it. I like it. Growing up then, how did your local scene influence your sound as a musician, do you think?
Oh, well, there were just tons of great players in our area, and you'd go and listen to them play, and some of them you would get to know. And some of the guys when I was a younger guy, some of the older guys that I would actually talk to, they were like, wouldn't get all crazy. They were like, don't get all crazy about the gear. Just get gear that you know will work and that it's decent. But they're like, it's the driver, not the car. So just concentrate on how you are feeling when you're playing. I thought that was some really good advice I got from guys who were just a little older at the time and were just phenomenal players. And they were just sort of like just put yourself into it. And I thought that was that influenced me. I heard that from a couple different people.
Yeah.
As
That's
opposed
that's
to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's some pretty amazing advice, especially for a young musician.
Yeah, and it was good. And these guys were totally cool, totally relaxed. I can't imagine what I came off like. Hey, Mister, but that's and you just go and see these bands play, and not just the bass players. I got to be friends with some of these guys, and they're just like some of these drummers, just like, how do you do that? And they're just like, well. And some of these singers were just so relaxed, and they're just hitting these notes. You can't believe what they're doing. It's like, that is cool.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And back to the outfit. For any listeners that haven't been lucky enough to catch one of your shows, what is it like? Give us the full experience if you can.
Well, we just come out and we are really wound up and ready to go. And it's just we put out a lot of energy. And as I mentioned before, it's just four guys. There's no dancers, there's no computers, there's no bombs going off. It's just four guys playing balls out and start to finish. And we have a couple songs that lighten up a little bit, but pretty much from start to finish, it's just to the wall. And and then the big ending, and that's about it. And we don't play forever, and we just make it short and sweet, and boom. That's what we try. That's what we attempt to do.
Right. Leave them wanting more.
Hopefully.
And if you think of all the shows you've played over your entire career, then is there one that sticks out as the highlight? One you constantly revisit?
Well, there's been several good ones, and unfortunately, there have been some clunkers. But there's been some that stand out. When I first started getting to play as an opener, getting to play in big halls and arenas, and stepping out there and going, "How did I get here?" And then looking up through the exits, and we're looking at people at the concession stands buying hot dogs. And since we're the opener, they don't really care about us. But and that kind of experience, it's like, wow, this is cool. And then some of the nicer halls. We did one not too long ago here in Chicago, at a place called House of Blues. It's a nice big venue, and really they run it. It's all top of the line, and the crowd was fantastic. They were just like, uh, they didn't know who we were. We weren't the headliner, and they were like, yeah. And there's been a few of those where we're the opener, but the people are going crazy. And so that makes us go more crazy. And so that type of stuff sticks out. The ones that are going well, but you can't forget the bad ones either, because there's always a few of those.
I'm glad you mentioned the bad ones because the next question, I normally flip it around now and say, what has been the worst experience you've had and how did you overcome it?
Well, I've had a few, well, more than a few. And we were playing a benefit in New York, and all these different bands, all the bands of the day were playing, and it was our turn to play, and we went out there, and they came and they said they just made us shut it off. And we're like 1, 2, 3, just stop, 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 and they wouldn't let us play. That was a little disappointing. We had one more recently where we had a technical problem, and so the band just stopped in the middle of a song, and the place was way far out of town. There weren't many people there, and I think some of the people had probably been doing a lot of day drinking, and we started getting some pretty nasty heckles because the place was just silent. I just started playing the bass, just started playing bass licks just so I couldn't hear them. And it wasn't super mean, but it was a little uncomfortable.
I could imagine. I could imagine. I have to ask, I'm sure the listeners are dying to know why did they stop you playing the benefit?
Well, they said that they were the time was up, and they didn't have the hall anymore.
Right.
And I think they were just trying to screw us, but I don't know. And you never know. Sometimes those New York guys, you don't know quite what's on their mind. But I should probably take that back. That's going to sound bad. We have nothing but love for New York.
Right, right. And when it comes to showtime, then your pre-show and your post-show, how do you guys psych yourselves up? And then afterwards, how do you wind down?
Well, beforehand, we just there's a little bit of warm up vocal. Um, Everybody's just pretty much relaxed, really. And then it's like, okay, let's go. And then that's when the switch gets flipped. So as we get on stage and get set up, like all strapped in and everything, it's like, okay, now, boom. Then afterwards, if everything went well, which most often it does, I'm glad to say, um, we everybody's just like, all right, okay, and then we'll pick out a few things that we kind of slopped through, like that hopefully the audience didn't notice, but it wasn't like rehearsal where a part got jammed up or somebody went off the wrong way, but everything recovered pretty quickly, and we're like, oh, we can't do that again. And then everybody's just like, okay, and we're done, and then we're on our way.
Right, right. Nice and easy, nice and easy. So, before we dive into the last couple of questions, then future plans that are set in stone. I know you guys are heading on tour for the summer.
Well, we we're actually booking stuff now. We have a few things booked here in our general area, and then we are working on out of town stuff that actually probably wouldn't start up till like September. But we are going to start playing out. We're playing a big festival next week out here in the Chicagoland area. Big festival, multi-act, multi-bill festival, and then a couple other big like suburban festivals in the area, and then we hope to get out of town, and that's what we're working on now.
Right, right. The big festival next week, is that Patriots Fest?
Yes, it is.
I was actually surprised to see you guys on the bill because is that not a country music festival?
Well, it's we don't ask too many questions because we're probably lucky to be on the bill. If you ever seen those big festival bills where the print is up here, and it gets smaller and then smaller and then smaller and smaller. And there we are, right down there in the corner. And
Right.
we feel like we're lucky to get it at all. And yeah, it is, the promoter was like, yeah, I want you guys to do this. And we were looking at the other guys, and it's other than the headliner is Three Doors Down, and they're a rock band. And then they're going to have Ted Nugent, who we've played with before. And then it starts going into, Big and Rich and all these country guys, country guy, country guy, country guys. And then down to us. So we are just going to assume the promoter knows what he's doing and the people aren't too confused. And it's an unusual lineup, that's for sure.
Mm, mm. I'd say it's going to be a good mix though, a good night, a good night.
I'm sure it'll work out.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Right, we'll dive into the last couple of questions. So these are a couple of random fun ones, but I'm intrigued to see your answers. First off, what are you currently obsessed with? It can be anything at all.
Oh, I better be careful with that. Um, well, I want to for the summer, I want to buy an old car to ride around in. And I've had some cool big old American cars like from the 60s. You can
Yeah.
still find them. And I am looking around. I don't want to spend too much, but it's a fun car as long as the radio works. And they don't have to be perfect, but big old Buicks and Oldsmobiles and stuff like that. They're just gigantic cars with all this chrome and all this stuff on it. That's an obsession I got going on right now.
Right, right. I have to say I'm kind of jealous that you can actually get one of those cars because over here in Ireland, ever since I was a child, seeing those cars on TV, I've wanted one, and you just can't get them over here, you know? You guys have the coolest cars.
Yeah, yeah. I have a good friend who collects them, and all like mid 50s Pontiacs, Oldsmobiles, Cadillacs. He's got a fleet of them. Some of them run, some of them doesn't. But talk about being obsessed.
Oh man. And the next one, if you had to spend 24 hours locked inside a room with any musician from history, who would it be?
Oh, that is a good one. A full 24 hours. Um, if the, maybe like James Brown, because
Okay.
he'd probably have some incredible stories. But you probably have to watch your step with that guy. And maybe John Lennon.
Yeah.
Uh, and Beck, of course, Jeff Beck has always been one of my favorites. In the interviews I've seen, he always seems like a real gentleman. So that would probably be the most comfortable.
Yeah, not bad ones. Not bad ones. Kind of, I'd imagine it'd be pretty chilled out.
Who, Jeff Beck?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
yeah. I don't think chilled out is something anyone has ever said about James Brown.
No, I just would like to hear his stories, but like I said, you'd have to be careful what you said. I don't want to tick him off.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And the final one, so what is your go-to album? What's an album you always revisit?
Oh, there's some very, very, very early stuff that I really like Axis Bold as Love, maybe like Revolver,
Yeah,
and then more recently, uh, I had a oh this is actually a little older now, but a band called Stereophonic.
yeah.
They made the coolest records The guy had the coolest voice. I don't know if they're still together. I'd have to look. That was a good 10 years ago. But they just made really cool sounding records and good writing. And I always enjoyed that record.
Yeah, I think they are still together. I'm not sure if they're doing much, but I don't think they officially separated. I think 3-4 years ago they were on tour anyway. They're massive over at this side of the world. I think
Yeah.
the guy is Kelly Jones or Kelly something.
I would have to look.
I
Great
could be wrong
sound.
now.
Well, I don't know.
Listen, Mike, it's been an absolute blast now. Thanks a million.
Well, thank you so much. And it's great making your acquaintance. And I hope to maybe meet you sometime.
Out of my head, I'm tripping my ghost and lives inside my brain. Sits just still, it feeds through my soul. Flying away, I'm lost in space in a world full of strangers. The talking days are coming my way and I'm lost. My reflection seems to fade. Ghosts are slowly killing me. Hey, 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 big eyes seem to follow you, follow you. Hey, 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 big eyes seem to haunt you, haunt you. Quiet and fear, you break your silence, but nobody seems to care. Memories fade, the ghost is taking them all. My reflection seems to fade as the stranger staring back at me. Hey, 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 big eyes seem to follow you, follow you. Hey, 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 big eyes seem to haunt you, haunt you. Hey, 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 big eyes seem to carry you We're just a little more than you can feel anymore. Darkness of an empty soul. Hey, 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 big eyes seem to follow you, follow you. Hey, 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 big eyes seem to haunt you, haunt you. Can't live like this anymore. Stranger seems to come around more and more. Can't live like this anymore. Stranger.
Hey guys, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. And if you're interested in signing up the Band Builder Academy, use the link in the show notes below and enter the code CONCERTS and you'll receive 10% off. So, until next time, keep rocking.
Hey, what are you guys still doing here? The show's over. It's over. You can go home. Go on. We'll see you next time. We'll be here. Bye.